We're live.
Bienvenue à la classe de maître du contrebassiste Joel Quarrington, donnée à l'occasion de la saison 2021 de l'Orchestre de la francophonie. Originaire de Toronto, il a suivi ses premiers cours de contrebasse à l'âge de 13 ans. Récompensé au concours international de Genève et à la CBC Talent Competition, il s'est produit comme soliste partout au Canada, aux États-Unis, en Europe et en Chine. En plus de 40 ans de carrière, Joel a été contrebasse solo de nombreux ensembles, dont l'Orchestre symphonique de la Canadian Opera Company, l'Orchestre symphonique de Toronto, l'Orchestre symphonique du Centre national des arts du Canada et de l'Orchestre symphonique de Londres. Chambriste réputé, récipiendaire d'un Juno Award pour le meilleur album classique en 2010 pour le disque nommé Garden Scene, Joel est l'un des musiciens à avoir eu la chance d'enregistrer avec Glenn Gould en 1982 l'une des dernières œuvres écrites par le célèbre pianiste. Joel enseigne l'été au Centre d'art Orford, où ses classes de maître attirent des interprètes du monde entier. Il donne aussi des cours à l'Université d'Ottawa et à la Royal Academy of Music de Londres, où il est artiste en visite. Born in Toronto, Joel Quarrington began his formal studies of the double bass when he was 13. Joel is a winner of the Geneva International Competition and the CBC Talent Competition and has made solo appearances across Canada, the United States, Europe, and China. For over 40 years, Joel Quarrington has served as the principal double bassist of many ensembles, including the Canadian Opera Company, the Toronto Symphonies, and Canada's National Arts Centre Orchestra, and the London Symphony Orchestra. A renowned chamber musician, recipient of a Juno Award for Garden Scene, Best Classical Album in 2012, Joel is one of the musicians who had the chance to record with Glenn Gould in 1982, one of the last works written by the famous pianist. Joel teaches in the summer at the Orford Arts Centre in Quebec, where his masterclasses have attracted players from around the world. He is a professor at the Conservatoire de Musique de Montréal and at the Royal Academy of Music in London, where he is a visiting artist. L'OF reconnaît l'appui du gouvernement du Canada et emploie Québec, Île-de-Montréal. L'OF remercie ses commanditaires, Canimax et Panorama Média. L'OF remercie aussi les fondations suivantes, la Fondation RBC, la Fondation Sybilla S, le Fonds AIDA de la Fondation Jeunesse musicale du Canada et la Zeller Family Foundation. The OF acknowledged the Government of Canada's support et Emploi Québec Île-de-Montréal. The OF would like to thank their private sponsors, Canimex and Panorama Media. The OF would like to thank the following foundation, RBC Foundation, Fondation Sybilla S, le Fonds AIDA de la Fondation Jeunesse musicale du Canada and the Zeller Family Foundation. Pour suivre nos activités, nous vous invitons à consulter le site web de l'Orchestre de la francophonie, la page Facebook et le YouTube canal et le hashtag OF-2021. To follow us, please consult our website at orchestrefranco.com, our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and as well the hashtag OF-2021 on Instagram. Maintenant, je vous présente les participants à cette classe de maître: David Porot, Ellis Rapati, Christian Rona, Julien Altman, Liam Yankelovich, Mariana Grigg et Thomas Brody. Joel, it's all yours. Thank you very much for your presence.
Merci beaucoup, José. Welcome to everybody. Now, as I'm going to talk, I think, for about 10 minutes at the start of this, just to make a bit of context. You are welcome to turn your cameras on if you want. And at any time that I'm talking, if you want to interrupt me, please do it. I'm open to questions at any time because, to be honest, I'm just making this up, so it'll just help things go along. So it's an interesting premise to talk about performing unaccompanied Bach for auditions. And at the National Arts Centre a couple of years ago, we were going to have a bass festival, and I was going to have different people do things. I was actually going to have the cellist Rachel Mercer give the class to the bass players on on this subject. As it turns out, I'm doing it. That didn't happen, by the way, that bass festival. So why do we even have Bach on auditions? I don't know that there's a good answer to that, especially when, you know, it's asked of instruments other than the cello. But some orchestras, like the National Arts Centre, ask every string player to play unaccompanied Bach. It's part of the process. I don't know the thinking behind other orchestras that do ask for it. But one thing I do know is that when it's for, especially when it's not being played on the cello, when it's being played on the bass, I know that the juries, by and large, want it to sound effortless and enjoyable, and that the person has no, it's an enjoyable experience. The idea that, you know, that a jury might be interested in historically informed practice, assuming it's a symphony orchestra, I don't think that's the case. I don't think that that's going to have much bearing in this big picture. But I've got more to say about that in a second. So here are some of the things I want to talk about with this. What I'm hoping to do when you all play is to address the issue that comes up time and time again. People always say, it'd be great if you took more time. Taking time, how to find time. And that's a strategy that I'm going to focus on today, because I like to take time in performing unaccompanied Bach by having a complete dynamic plan. I put in dynamics for everything, for every bar. Either I'm going somewhere or something's happening. The last thing I want to do is to have it sound at one level for the whole tune. Giving that dynamic is also going to make me realize what are the phrases that I'm trying to do. It's going to set my phrasing off. It's going to make me take breaths in between the phrases. It's going to push me to make some architecture of it. Also with the dynamics, it's going to make me imply polyphony, because I'm not going to do the same dynamic. If I'm going to try and kick out what I perceive to be a bass line, then I'm going to have a different dynamic for it, and it'll be separated from melody. And all of that is going to help me find time, to take the time to play it as well as I can under duress. And, you know, at an audition, you accept it. You will be under duress. So that is what I'm going to talk about today, when in relation to what you're playing. But before we get there, there's some other things I would just like to say concerning this subject. first of all, what edition are you going to play from? I think that for me, the worst thing you can do is to turn this into a thing that's all about the bowings. Is that all you hear are the bowings? And, oh, I'm doing the Anna Magdalena bowings. But, like, that's all you can hear, I don't enjoy that. I think that, and you also don't want to hear a highly stylized edition either. You like in an audition, you have to, in preparing excerpts, you have to choose maybe a middle of the road idea. And that's why more than any other I'm typing this in chat. Any other edition, I always suggest to people that they go on to IMSLP and use these editions, free auditions there, by Werner Icking. They are, he was a German mathematician, and he invented an early music notation system, which you'll see if you look at that music. Very beautiful, years ahead of Sibelius and Finale. And I think that this was a remarkable man, Werner Icking. He was trying to make Bach available to the whole world for free in sort of a non-edited way. And you'll see that the bowings in these editions are like, they are middle of the road. They are sort of what, based on the Anna Magdalena version. But when he makes a supposition that perhaps there should be a slur there, he makes it with a dot. So you have your choice to leave it out. And it's, and as well, for viola, there's a viola version. For double bass, you can take the violin version, and it's in treble clef, but you read it down a fourth. And of course, there's a proper cello version there too. And the one I was just talking about, you can play it on the violin. These are, at least as a point of departure, I think that these are wonderful editions to use. It's like a scholarly look at it. It's not from the point of view of a cellist. It's what a historian or a curator might want to preserve through the eyes of a curator, maybe is the best way to express what he's done for all the suites. So I would really suggest that you have a look at that Werner Icking. I put it in the chat. It's free. They're lovely big notes, easy to see. And I think that, getting back to this idea of, do you want to do historically informed performance? Without, in my opinion, a little bit weird to do at a symphony audition. I've seen it work when, especially well if you want to do that, if you bring out like a Baroque bow and do it, it's a little more convincing. But I do think that with these icking bowings, it's enough of a tip of a hat in the right direction that you're not going to get, you will not garner, criticism for not being, hip. I know that some principal player friends of mine in different orchestras have made comments to me about presenting Bach at auditions that I was actually pretty surprised about, saying that to not present something that was very much aligned with what are perceived as Bach bowings would be pretty much unacceptable for them. I don't know that I agree with that, but it might be a sign of how things are changing. You might have to go all in on that. I also want to talk about, in this subject, I want to talk about actually choosing repertoire to play at an audition. The worst thing is choosing a piece where you're going to get cut off. I've been in an audition where people basically want 2 to 3 minutes. That's it. So, it's tempting, like, you want to play the whole prelude of the Sixth Suite. Well, that's going to take 5 minutes, and that's going to ask for a lot of patience of a jury to get through that. And, to get cut off, where are you going to get cut off in that? It's sort of awful to consider. So yeah, you do want to think, can I get this whole thing in 2 or 3 minutes? Should I do repeats? No, absolutely not do repeats. For that very reason. Maybe preludes are, well, some of them would fit in with the time, I guess. Pushing it a little bit. The idea of, although I love ornaments and I love hearing people change things and add things, in this context, I wouldn't add anything. You have to understand what this jury is that they haven't met to get their thoughts together as one. You're going to have like 11 or 13 individuals reacting to things, and of course everyone has such a highly personal take on Bach. In a way, you want to do it and come out of it unscathed somehow. So you don't want to hand anyone ammunition. At any rate, we can talk about that. I just have one more thing I want to say about this is most auditions are behind a screen nowadays. So no one knows if you're playing from music or memory. But normally, I would say always perform Bach from memory. But in this instance, I would plan on using music, and I would practice with the music like all the time ahead of an audition to make sure you're used to reading it and playing it. It's a very funny thing about how he's a very difficult composer to memorize. You have to be in flow to get it right, and it's happened to me that I'm probably because I do both the sixth suite and the first suite in the same key, that I'll be in the allemande of the sixth suite, and all of a sudden I can change it into the first suite allemande. Just a little slip here. Oh yeah, it's quite a bit. That's my own problem. I do them both in G. That's the trouble. I've got a few anecdotal things about working from memory, about how to improve memory if you are going to try and play this stuff from memory. Some activities you could do to try and make that foolproof. So I think that's about all that I wanted to say in the outline. Any questions about anything I said? Nope. Okay. So I think we're ready to begin. So I'm not listening, again, I'm not listening as your teacher, or I'm listening with a really different point of view, with this not interpretive so much as how to try and possibly find more ease at performing this. That's how I'm listening to it. So it looks like we're going to start with David. Is that right? So please, David, can you introduce yourself and tell us where you're from and who you study with?
Yes, of course. I'm David. I'm here in Strasbourg, France. And I studied the cello here in Strasbourg and Lausanne in Switzerland.
Okay. What are you going to play today?
Today I will play the current of the first suite.
Okay. Bravo. Well, that's wonderful. Like, you're pretty much doing everything that I would have suggested. I love that. I mean, you're separating the bass voice It's wonderful, and your light and the melody. Your timing throughout it was great. You just have a couple of things that that I would do. Bar 13. I would do a decrescendo to begin 14. Like much and let it have just a little bit of time to start the thing, because you keep it up too much, and then it's really got nowhere to go to get to 16. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes, of course.
And then if you are going to play that repeat, it's really important. 15, 16. That the last beat of bar 16 be full value, quarter note, like you were a little bit short, just a little bit, like yum ba da 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 dum bum bum. You know, you cut the time there just a little bit.
Okay, I see, yes.
You play beautifully. I'm sorry to be so pedantic, but that pulse is so important in this context. You know, can you? So there, I had the one idea about the dynamic, that going down. You might also check. It sounds like I'm coaching an excerpt. I'm so sorry.
No problem.
But you do push the tempo a little bit in 14, 15.
Okay.
Just a little bit. You probably mean to, but maybe just more crescendo, more build rather than that action. Try that just to be different once.
Okay.
See if you can be more comfortable somehow with those. Maybe do the whole first part again.
Okay.
Oh, I must say I like my idea of a diminuendo.
Yes.
It was good. Hey, I just thought of something. You know, in this, you're almost doing exactly the bowings in this Werner Icking thing. It's almost identical, but it's interesting that in bar 11, I'm just saying this in the interest of time. It's da da ba bum ba ba ba. The last four are separate. Da da ba da 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 ba da 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 bum ba ba ba.
I played where is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, it might not be your cup of tea, as we say. Some people say that, but it actually makes you take more time.
Yes.
You know, and again, that's why this Icking thing it's sort of the Anna Magdalena, sort of, you know, it can force the issue that it's the same with bar 5. And to be honest, in bar 6, it's strange. It's one of these things where, yeah, by bar 5 and 6, it's strange. Um, but at any rate, it's really worth looking at. Just to see if there's something there that can bring it out. What I liked about the separate bows is that it really made it sound more like two voices right away. You know, you had the dum bum 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 ba da bum bum da 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 da, and how you played it was great. You really said it. You did it, you know, a nice stroke. It was more interesting for sure. What did you do at bar 31?
Three and one. I re-articulate the same phrase, ba-da-da, the interval, ba-da-da,
Yeah.
and I repeat it in the end of the bar.
Okay. No, good. I mean, that's the bowing that he's got marked in. Although he does have a dotted line because it's ba ya da ba ba da 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 ba 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 ba. It's three slurred, all separate after that. Ba ya da ba da 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 ba 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 ya da ba da 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 ba da 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 bum. Three slurred, all separate. Three slurred, all separate. Boy, yada, ba da 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 da, and maybe like take too much time on the slur. Boy, da 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 da, boy, da da da. It's easier to play, isn't it?
Yes, of course.
Well, in any case, that's you play really well. It was great. It's really nice to hear you play. I'm glad we started with you. Great. So in this Werner Icking edition, a strange thing that he has, well, an unusual thing, when he puts it into when he puts it for viola or violin, and he puts it in the case of the violin and bass, it's a fourth lower. He also puts in metronome marks, which I find his metronome marks very interesting throughout the suites, because they're very, again, middle of the road. It's sort of what you'd expect an historian might choose, or a curator, or someone with no ego that doesn't care about playing fast. Because he's actually got this courant marked at 88 to the quarter. It's slow, but I actually just tried it before the class. You should try it too. Playing it with a metronome at 88. It's kind of illuminating. Yeah. Well, David, thank you very much. That was a pleasure to hear you.
To me too.
So you're in Strasbourg.
Yes. Actually, in Strasbourg.
Great. That's nice. Oh, well, great to meet you. Are you a professional player?
I'm training.
Yeah. Oh.
I finished my study and today I'm preparing the audition to be a professional musician, maybe in an orchestra.
Yeah. Well, best of luck to you. You sound great. Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, now is it Ellis is going to play next? Ellis? Ah, Ellis,
Hi.
hello. How are
Can you hear
you?
me? Good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Where are you at?
I'm in Toronto right now, but I'm originally from Nova Scotia,
We're in Nova Scotia.
Dartmouth.
Did you study in Toronto?
Yeah, I went to the Glen Gould School. I just got my ADP last year.
You're a student of Steve's?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I know what's coming then.
I'll try to bring it.
Actually, I've told Steve this. He's one of my oldest friends.
Yeah.
But, and we were roommates in school. I guess we were roommates. I guess I was still only like, since about the age of 18. At any rate, he mostly had it all together even back then. But I learned more from Steve over the years than I think I learned from any of my bass teachers.
Oh wow.
And he always would get it done with like one finely chosen singer
Hmm.
that would like eat at me for weeks and make me think about it. And, so anyway, there's probably not much I can say to you that you haven't heard before, but we'll try.
Well, we'll see.
What are you gonna play?
I'm gonna play the Bach 2 Prelude.
Okay.
Number 2.
Yeah, very good. You're playing. I stopped paying attention after a while, but whatever version you're playing is like pretty much the first page was sort of identical to this icking thing.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah.
It's like Steve was very adamant about me taking a look at the Anna Magdalena part.
Yeah.
And it's a little. I kind of forget what I changed, but it was more or less that was the blueprint, I guess.
Yeah. Well, this is why I'm saying that this you know well, so well, this is kind of interesting. I might as well talk about it.
Yeah.
So I was at Steve's house one time in the 90s. I can't remember what year exactly. He invited me over. He said, "Oh, come over. I've got Honor Billsma over here." I said, "Oh, okay." So we went over and like, yeah, sure enough, there he was in the living room. And so we had this wonderful day and great dinner with him. And he had all these loose pieces of paper, which were going to be his manuscript for this book he was writing, which it turned out to be The Fencing Master.
Okay.
I don't know how many of you have read that, where he... but I was quite... at the time, I was really naive about it all. And I wandered into the whole Anna Magdalena thing, like, very innocently. And like, right away, I said, Anna Magdalena. I said, how can you tell anything from that? That's just a bunch of scribbling. It doesn't make any sense. And he said, no. And he was saying, you see, this is, this one is just, these three slurred. And, he said, at any rate, I really made an ass of myself. I walked into that. But he was very gracious. He was very gracious about it.
Yeah.
And I know that, to describe Steve as being adamant is a bit of an understatement. Yeah.
A little bit.
But in terms of what I was saying with time and comfort, anything that I have to say, I don't think you have any use for. I don't think you've really got your cadenza stuff at the end worked out that well, though.
No, that didn't go super well.
No. Well, do you know what you're going to do there? It's none of my business. It's just...
Yeah, no. Usually I have one that's a little bit more, like, simple, but this time I was just like, I'll try something new. Kind of botched it.
Flew too close to the sun.
Pretty much, yeah.
I would now. Everything I say, it's always in that. I can hear Steve. But I would, it's a suggestion. It's really not what I'm talking about. But I felt that you're a little bit uncomfortable with your sound. Like it's not enough gutsy. It's like you're having to hold back, like no vibrato and stuff, and it ends up sort of a bit glassy.
Right.
And for me, I don't think there's anything wrong with adding some vibrato.
Okay. Yeah.
And getting a little bit more, like, do you want it to be like that character?
No, yeah, I definitely wanted to have a bit more substance.
No, I mean the character. I was trying to,
Oh, the character.
sort of, like like some more vitality to it.
I see.
Um, because it's not exactly dark yet.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely didn't want it. I don't want it to sound kind of like I'm holding back, or it's like a bit I don't know, shy, I guess. I guess I was thinking a little bit about just trying to play it maybe just simply, and I got too caught up in that.
That's a Yeah. It's a little bit hard. Like, I think that simply, I think you should allow yourself a little more leeway for a little more dynamic presence in it,
Okay.
because I think that's going to be too hard to sustain at an audition. You're
Yeah.
going to be super aware of this. Well, that's what it struck me as, is glass.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, and that's so hard to relax into that.
Yeah.
I'm projecting myself onto you through this, but I would definitely get some vibrato.
Yeah.
Somehow, and for me, it would be really linked in with, I guess the speed of the bow. What the bow is actually doing on the longest notes,
Mm-hmm.
which, yeah. But you made one crescendo that I was really happy about. That was at bar 36, I guess.
Yes.
And then it started coming out better after that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
When you gave yourself that permission to go crazy.
Right.
Okay. Well, Ellis, you got anything you want to say or ask about?
Could I maybe just try the first maybe like line and try playing with more presence?
Yeah, like,
If you have time.
and don't just like half-ass do it. Like, do it for real. Like, do something really different. Like, really different. My work here is done. It's night and day.
Yeah.
And right away, I know you're comfortable, and so we're all more comfortable listening too.
Right.
It's really a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Next time I'll just go for it.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Okay. Bravo, Ellis.
Thank you so much.
Okay, good. Christian.
Hi,
Hello. Christian, where are you talking to us from?
I'm at the RTM right now. I'm also a student of
RTM.
Steve's.
RTM?
The Royal Conservatory in Toronto.
Are you a student there?
Yes.
Also with Steve?
Yeah.
Oh, twice in one day. How lucky can I get?
I haven't brought this movement to him yet though, so it's a clean slate.
Oh, what is
Didn't
it?
mess with anything.
Oh, what is it?
The Sarabande of the Third Cello Suite.
Oh, all right. Great. Very nice. Um, I heard what you did, okay, but I just want to check if Luke is there. Like, you've got original sound on, because it was clipping just a little bit.
I do have original sound on.
Luca, do you have anything to say about anything?
I think it was just an internet problem.
Ah,
The internet here does suck.
Yeah.
ah,
So I think it might get better, but there's nothing much we can do at the moment.
okay. I heard it, Christian. I heard it fine. What you did. Okay, this brings up a lot of what I liked about what you did is I liked the pulse. For me, slightly too fast, but that it had the pulse of the bass line throughout, which is great, and I think essential. But here's what I'm going to say that's a little bit contentious, a little bit. You are playing it at from a point of view of like really very historically informed, and I don't think that that's such a hot idea for a symphony orchestra, because a jury does not want to be educated, and that's what it would amount to. That's what it feels like. You hear this in excerpts all the time, like well, one of the first examples that comes to mind is Mozart Symphony 39 in the slow introduction, the Adagio. It's actually marked à la brève for some reason. I don't know, but you know, it's still years ago. That used to be an 8. Dom, boom, boom, boom. And it's gone from there, where now I think it's sort of mainstream, where it's well, it's definitely in 4, but every so often you get people come in with it in 2, and it never works. It's not the time or the place to educate. And this saraband's a little bit that way. I find it disappointing how you avoid rolling the chords. You know, and having a chord it's so interesting when you do a slow roll, that it can even be done on a stringed instrument, you know. It's like who needs that? And as well, then you double dot 16th notes, or you seem to. We don't want that sort of an education. It also reminds me that well, it doesn't remind me. I'm just, you can see a saraband danced. You know, I guess I only saw it in real life. I'm sure it's on the YouTube. You can see everything else there. So, and how that moves and flows like that. Your playing wasn't quite like that. It was a little more, a little bit like that, but. So, don't get me wrong. I admire what you're doing. In the right orchestra, that would be perfect. For the orchestra of the Age of Enlightenment. Bang on. Spot on, Christian. Well done. But I'm thinking, I'm thinking that should probably be a little more user-friendly. I'm just wondering about how to take the moving bass line which I like so much. Could there be something that was half and half? Could we compromise? Could you sustain a little more the chords? Meet us halfway. Slow it down a little bit. A little bit. And maybe don't double dot the 16ths. Why were you doing that, by the way? I'm just curious. I'm not challenging.
I think I heard somebody play it like that. And,
some guy on the
really liked
internet.
it.
Double dot. Oh, you liked it.
Yeah. I think it was like...
Was it Pandolfo?
No, it was a violist. It was like him Kashkashian or something.
Oh, well. I'll have to listen for that. It's a different thing, you know, like... You understand this context that we're trying to talk about today. Just trying to find something that's going to help you get a job. Smooth, a little more what the rhythms are. What about, let's go from like 17 to the end, because we got some nice, In bar like 8:19, we've got all this bass line, and throughout to the end. It's actually a good excerpt for this. Okay, you did exactly as I asked. Now, don't do that. Because I do like for those chords to have a decay on them. You know, I'm next level up. Boom, boom, boom. Like basically crescendoing through 18. The second and third eighth notes of bar 19 are your bass line, much weaker. Boom, boom, ba-dum, bum, dim, 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 dim. Quiet bass line again, pick up to 21. Boom, boom, ba-da, da-da-da-da-da. Next level up with the bass line, bum, bum, ba-da. Next level up, ya-da-da-da-dum, ba-ya-dum, ba-dum, bum, bum. Bass line here, second and third notes. You know what I mean? So we've got a two-bar crescendo happening. I guess a two-bar crescendo and what I call a +1 cadence and diminuendo, and then like a shaped thing, pick up to 21. Like it's going to have that sort of dynamic thing. Yum, bum, 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 ba-da-dum. And then in the very last chord, you've got to release everything. Like no sustain. It's got to be like air escaping somehow. Can you try that? Yeah, it's better. It's not like you're having any difficulty playing this. The dynamics are not quite what I mean with that voicing. But especially the shape of the bass line, it shouldn't come. What comes after on the second eighth shouldn't be as immediate. And in the very last bar, it ends up like that, dum da da dum, and then the chord is like the guitar afterwards. Like it should have really ended. So, I guess that this would fit into the idea of we're trying to play up the idea of searching out voices and letting them take their time. Yeah, and dynamics. Okay, I'm gonna leave you alone. I do have to say though that you did some interesting things in there that are gonna make me think a little bit. Not much, but I will think about it. No, it was yeah, it's interesting. But I hope you understand too that and don't find me unreasonable in I'm just trying to give you the straight dope, kid. You know, yeah, especially this if in the orchestras I know that are asking for this stuff, you'd have to do a bit of investigation. If, like, maybe the concertmaster or someone like that is crazy about hip performance, and then yeah, you know, do it. You know, well, figure out the numbers. Know who you're playing for. But yeah, did you understand what I'm?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, Christian.
Thank you.
Nice to hear you. See you. Okay, Julian. Julian. What instrument are you going to play?
Viola.
Oh, yeah.
Another Steve students. Of course.
Are you really?
Yeah. Sorry.
Where are you today?
I'm in Toronto, and I just finished an artist diploma with Steve.
Where do you live in Toronto?
Near High Park, at Kiel.
Oh, out there. Do you like, oh yeah, High Park, yeah, okay. West End,
West End, yeah.
okay. Are you from Toronto?
No, I'm from California, Berkeley.
Oh, really? Oh. Oh, okay. Well, you're going to a great school, great teacher.
I agree.
Good. What are you going to play?
Third Suite Prelude.
Okay. Now we're getting into this. Terrific. Terrific.
Thank you.
I didn't mean to raise my hand. I was trying to applaud. It's one hand applause there.
I'll call on you so you can put it down.
Where's the reactions? I thought you could. Okay. I thought that was. I really thought that was terrific. Everything that I'm talking about, you're already doing. I love the bowings. I love how you got that bowing to work out in the middle part. Sounds great.
Thanks.
And I love the way that you would include how you include that 16th note in the slur. That's really intelligent. It gets rid of an accent. It's really good. And I think you continued that like throughout the piece, and it really got rid of some accents it normally happen that don't have to happen. It was great. So whose bowings were those, by the way?
They change a lot. So I'm not really. I use an edition that's completely blank, and often when I'm playing, sometimes I don't have a plan. Sometimes I do, but some of it's a combination of what past teachers have told me, and some of what I like to put in. But I did play this for Steve a couple years ago, and he hated the bowings. I figured it would be appropriate for a symphony audition, though.
Well, as a matter of fact, I played it for Steve. In fact, I don't even think I was playing it for Steve. I think it was just before a concert, and I was we were backstage practicing, and I was warming up on this thing, and I came to that middle passage, and he said, "That's not the right bowing, you know." So, at least you did that bowing, and you got it to sound great, and especially how the low note rang so nicely all the time. It's really hypnotic when it works. Like you just zero in on. As a listener, it's really pleasing to hear that. You're obviously really comfortable playing this one, performing it. So I don't think you really need any of my ideas to make it easier. However, if you want to think about what it is, or what I would suggest is in bars 16 and 17, I would have done separate notes on the first beat of both of those bars, and made a bit of a breath mark. Ba ya da dum bum 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 ba da 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 ba ya da dum, because that's really where the harmony changes in those ones. You stress the downbeat of bar 18 as your arrival point, but I mean it's kind of obvious. It's more interesting to have taken time pointing out the change of harmony.
Okay.
And it might get away from the idea of it being run on, which, your performance was terrific, but it in this particular few lines here, to me it was verging on being a little bit run on.
Okay.
And further to that idea, if the downbeat of bar 20 had just a little more time in that extraordinary chord, I think is great. And with a big diminuendo to begin 21 really pianissimo.
Right.
Now, the dynamic plan that you used through that, it did work. And it got you through to 25, so I like that. But I think that maybe between 21 and 26, you could have had an overall arch that began with the pianissimo.
Yeah. Okay.
I got one other idea for you. That begins bar 72. Yeah, 72 to 75. To yum ba da 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 dum ba ya da 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 dum ba ya da da da. Like make those strong in the down bow from the second 16th. Ba ya da 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 ya da 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 dum ba ya da 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 dum ba da 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 dum ba ya da 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 ya da da da. And then what you did was perfect after that.
Okay.
But it, for me, it needs that direction, so that, and it really helps with that dynamic plan of a 4-bar crescendo, I think.
Right.
Otherwise, again, it's a little, it can get to be a little bit run on.
Okay.
There. Just a couple of ideas, but really excellent. Yeah, and that's so I like that. So Steve hated them, but you knew that that would be the right thing to do at an orchestral audition. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was playing the 5th suite for him the other day, and I obviously listened to everything he had to say, and I love his ideas, but yeah, I think the historical performance, as you said, isn't necessarily the smartest move in an audition.
No. No. But yeah, but you also risk. Well, I found your bowings beautiful, and I thought they were great, musical, and yeah. But you also at the opposite end of this hip idea is like playing from editions that were done, in the 50s and stuff, and
Right.
which I actually enjoy looking at all this stuff and seeing what different people were doing. It's pretty interesting. But you don't want to present yourself as a dinosaur either. So, anyway, Julian, that's a pleasure to hear you, and yeah, terrific. Well done.
Thanks for your help.
Really good. Uh-oh, Liam. Liam.
Hello.
Hello. Where are you speaking to us today from, Liam?
I am. Sorry. Okay. I am from Chicago. For the past years, I was studying with Max Simmock at the University of Michigan, and in about a month, I will be starting studying with Joel at the Conservatoire de Montréal.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
that's the,
Amazing. I noticed that you plan to play the Allemande today.
yes.
That's exciting news. It's exciting for me because it isn't the prelude. Just I've heard you play it so much. But it'd be
Yeah.
great to. I don't know that I've heard you play the Allemande. Is that true?
I think it was in the audition recording I sent in.
Oh. Okay. Well, very good. I'll mute myself and please go ahead. Hey, bravo. It's so funny. I have to admit I'm still when I hear it in that key, I don't know what to think. I mean, it's kind of amazing. it's sort of like you're tuned down to like 415,
Right, exactly.
but you're not.
Right.
So there's some beautiful things in there. What do you for me, the only problem was your basic speed is good, but it didn't always have the propulsion of the pulse that I think you need, and maybe sometimes you're trying to hold on to things just a little bit too long. I mean, even some dotted, like in the first bar, the third and fourth beats, maybe they can even, I can't remember how sostenuto you were in there, but maybe this idea of this lack of, it wasn't a lack of pulse, of momentum. It got there. It got to where it got like that after a while. You did have pulse at some points in it. And I'm just wondering if letting go of longer notes a little bit sooner might help, that there is always that sort of idea. And maybe by the same token, when you have a chord, like a harmony chord, even just a double stop, or maybe if you can let it go, not the full value. For instance, I'm looking at like bar 13, the downbeat there. I think you had a little, you had a little fumble there, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe at the most hold the lower note for like a long eighth note or something.
Right.
I don't know what your strategy was exactly, or in the middle of that bar. Let's find a little spot where you might be able to try letting, well, like just do it off the top for a couple of bars. That sounded good. I don't know if you changed anything. Did you?
I think I just tried to just release the chords a little bit earlier.
Yeah. Well, it sounded really good. Use that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, at any rate, bravo. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Sounds great. I think we got to move on here because we got a couple more to hear. Thank you very much, Liam.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Now, Mariana. Mariana is playing the cello. Yay!
Yeah.
Where are you today?
So today I'm in London, Ontario. Yeah, but I just finished a master's at McGill with Brian Manker.
Ah. You're from London?
I'm from London, yeah.
Oh. Who did you study with in London?
So when I was a kid, I studied with Julia McGregor, and then I went to Western for my undergrad, and I studied with Tom Viva.
Yeah. Okay. Very nice. And what are you playing?
So today I'm going to be playing the Courant from the Sixth Suite.
Oh. Okay.
Alrighty.
Okay, great. I'll shut up. Very good. You know, in the second half, you started taking the time with the voices that I'm talking about, which made me think, maybe you meant to do more of that in the first half and you were just like nervous and not really warmed up. Is that right?
That's how I kind of felt about it.
Sorry?
That's how I felt about it. I kind of
Yeah.
warmed up
So-
by the second half.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give. Why don't you play it again?
Sure.
Because that was so nice what you did in the second half, and it's a shame that the first half was gone already.
Yeah, it was a little messy, but okay.
Yeah, way better. I just want to find my music for this somewhere, just so I can say bar numbers. Just give me one sec. Got it. So, I actually do. I practice all these suites. But this is the only one that I've really focused on, like really intensely. And I have to say, I find this courant, of all the movements of the Sixth Suite, I found this one the most difficult. I was not very convinced about what I was doing, and I needed to find a way into the rhythm of it somehow. That I just found it. I just found it difficult until I started thinking about it. That the movement was always on the 6th, 8th note of the bar to 1 all the time.
Yeah.
And then shape it in layers like that. Making diminuendos. So I can make the whole 8 bars into a package 8 bar thing.
Right.
With that thing, and I can control it with the 6 and those beats. So I was you don't have to use this imagery, but I was thinking more of that this is like a sort of a Spanish thing, whatever that means. It's like, like sort of. So a little bit. That's what I call Spanish, making the 16ths just a little bit spicy, and then not paying an awful lot of attention to letting these arpeggios roll. And I was doing this bowing, down, down, up, 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 down, bum.
And do you do those 6 tunes separate?
I did. I did. Maybe that's cheating, but at the end of the day, you have to still be able to live with yourself. And if it's not working for you, it's not working, and it wasn't. But one thing that, so I mean, I continued that idea throughout this. I'm at the end of bar 14. Really to pianissimo, slurring the whole bars together for like 4 bars and coming out in a crescendo in 19. So it really comes out. This is a good example of having a real dynamic plan and trying to make it work for you that way. And if you can make it fit into the architecture of 8 bars or whatever sounds like 8 bars, it's even better. And I think I came up with I also had the most trouble with 25, 26. Just like you.
Yeah, that's a tricky part.
So here's the strategy I used for that to get to what finally worked with that. So bear with me, please. From 23, I'm beginning so upbo da 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 but da baya da da. So 6 notes upbo, 2 separate, 4 notes downbo. Baga daga daga baga daga 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 baga daga 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 baga daya da da yum. It's up bow for first 6 notes, then two separate after at the end of that. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And so forget the first 6. Daga daga daga, baya daga daga, could be anything. Bada daya daga, baga daya daga. And it sort of forces you to not trip over your fingers a little bit.
Right, yeah.
If you can get past the bowing.
It's such a tricky.
It really is. It really is.
That worked.
Yes, exactly. And then it's also, I think, easier with that to make a nice crescendo through all that.
Right.
And then in the second half, you were really setting out apart the bass line like really perfectly, really beautifully. I think there was a little something, I can't remember, was it the setup to like 55, 56?
That one, and then there's also at bar 40. I think I kind of botched that one that time.
Show me bar 40. You can go just slowly once. Can you try once the opposite bowing so it begins down bow? Da da yada, pa pa yada, da yada da. You see that 4/16 slurred down bow becomes a bit of a theme throughout this. Da ga da ga dum.
Yeah.
Yeah, or dum baga daga. Yeah, or dum baga daga 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 dum, something like that. But it might. Yeah.
I'll give it a try.
There I go. So beginning at bayadum, 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 bayadum. At 55, I'm just carrying on the same idea. But the pick up to 55, I do down bow, so it's all backwards. Dum bum ba-da-dum 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 ba-da-dum.
Do you do these?
Yeah, but it's all down bow. Ba-da-dum ba-da-dum.
Yeah. I think
Yes.
that's what I did the first time.
Oh.
But
And then, all right, well that's good. You could do the same thing at in the diminuendo in bar 59. The same idea that was in 15,
Right.
with only it's cross slurred. You still slur 12 notes, but it begins on the third beat, right?
okay, yeah.
And then you can make a big crescendo. Actually, in 63, the last 8 notes I do separate. It sort of forces a crescendo and not rushing. And then the same idea with the bowing. At any rate, I found it very difficult to play this one and not trip up all the time. But that's an example of the phrasing and and the dynamic plan that really helped me not to trip over my fingers.
Okay. Yeah, it's a tricky. It's like a tongue twister one.
Yeah. It really is. It really is. Okay, well, very good. Anything else you wanted to add about this?
I think we covered all the the kind of tricky bits in it, so I'm good.
Yeah, well, bravo.
Thank you.
Thanks for playing today.
Thank you.
Now, Master Thomas Brody.
Hey there, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
Where are you speaking to us today from?
So I am speaking from Long Island, New York. I did my undergraduate with Nicholas Walker at Ithaca College, and I just did my master's degree with Joel here at University of Ottawa. And yeah, so. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And today I'm going to be playing the Allemande from the third cello suite. So.
Really?
I am.
Okay. All right, well, okay. Okay, great. I'll just mute myself and, I've never heard you do this one, right?
Yeah, I don't believe so. Yeah. I've been working on it for a while, though, and I played it in the past, so.
Well, it doesn't, I'm just wondering if, well, without further ado, I should make you play, because we're running out of time.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Good, Tom.
Thank you.
And you learned it all by yourself.
I did.
No help from Joel at all.
No, I did not. Yeah.
Oh, well, summertime's for fun.
This is true. Something like that.
Do you have any uncomfortable parts in this when you're playing it, or?
I mean, definitely sometimes there's like the part here, like that part kind of there is kind of a little awkward for me with like bowings and fingerings and trying to like make them work together so they're both helping each other versus actually hurting each other to make it sound effortless. You know what I mean?
Well, I think the tempo is about right, what you want, but I think that you've got to imply a little more voicing.
Yeah.
And that is that in these you always make the fifth note a little short. Yada da da dum, yada da da dum, yada da da dum. Then I would make it da-yum, bum bum ba-yum, bum bum ba-yum, boy yada da da da, yada da da dum, bum bum ba-yum. You go ba da 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 da, and then it's all going to be the same.
Right.
Unless it goes to the ba-da-da-da-dum, ba-da-da, and really make that one yum ba-ga-dum bum ya-da-dum bum 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 yum ba-da-dum ba-yum ba-da-dum bum bum. That way you can start sticking in more, getting more time, claiming more time. Yaga-da-ga-dum, yada-da-da-dum, boy yada-da-da-dum. Even right there in bar 7 is where I was trying to sing.
Yeah, really like letting the laugh.
Yada da da dum. That's it. Da 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 dum. Boy yada da da dum. Bass voice or some guy on a viol. Da-yum. Da 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 da. Da-yum. And for me, when I hear this, I'm always a little bit disappointed that it's not done more lovingly. Yada da 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 yum bum. Yada da 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 yum bum. Yada da da da. Because each one of them sort of changes its character. I mean, it gets even softer and, nicer and nicer.
Right.
Da yum boy yada dum bum boy yum ba da da dum ba da yada dum ba ya dum da ya dum boy yada da dum ba ya da da dum ba ya ba da dum bum da ya. For an example, that'll slow you right down, right there. Because otherwise you'll get into this thing you were just describing, like it's in your head, it's like too many events too close together. But if even this separation of, like, even though maybe it's not the right polyphony that, who knows, that he intended, it makes your head occupy enough space that it gives space to what you're playing.
Right, to focus on the other aspects, like of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, right.
At any rate, I would look at the quality or the length of all of the notes that comes after all of the 30 seconds. And just be super careful that they're not clipped. Or if they are clipped, yagadagam, boy, I guess you could clip and then do the bass notes longer, but just don't make them the same.
Definitely, yeah.
At any rate, Tom, very good. Lovely sound as always. We're almost at the end of this. And I'm just wondering if anyone has any questions that we're talking about. I did have one suggestion I wanted to make to everybody. Getting really comfortable with playing this stuff. Maybe it's not practical for some of you, but I think it's a great idea to go out onto the streets and busk with this material. Try and make some money playing for people on the street, playing this music. I mean, it'll get you comfortable with it right away, and you'll definitely learn how to play it, taking a lot of time. So anyone got anything for me at all? Questions? We're down to like the last 20 seconds before we're shut down by the network. Well, it's been quite enjoyable listening to all. I think it's an outstanding group of players there this year. Congratulations. Be nice to have it in real life, I'm sure. But bravo to everyone. Thank you very much for playing in this class. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed me half as much as I enjoyed you. Now that it doesn't sound right.
But it sounds great. So it's a nice way to conclude, and we're not going to get cut by the network. Don't worry.
Okay.
It was a pleasure to have you, Joel. It was really nice listening to your really insightful tips about playing Bach in audition settings, and all your past experience as a professional musician was really, really appreciated. I hope our participant did, and as well the public. So, and thanks again. Thank you for your presence, Joel.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
So this is the end of today's masterclass. Thank you to all participants, members of the public, and to our guest, Joel Quarrington. And once again, thank you to all of our sponsors. Et c'est ce qui termine la classe de maître d'aujourd'hui. Merci de votre présence, public, participants, et tout particulièrement à notre invité, Joel Quarrington. Encore une fois, des remerciements sincères à tous nos commanditaires.